friends, it's Carly, and welcome back to another episode of the I Learned podcast. I am so excited to be with you at this point. I have a bit of a realization that I had this morning that I felt inspired to share with you. Come on, Stell, get up, dear. Now she's up, dear. She can relax. She's next to the mama. So, yeah, yesterday, fun little story. Yesterday was the third Sacred Circle for my Patreon members. It's a Pay What Feels Good Patreon. Those of you that want to be there, I want you to be there. And yesterday was our third event. We have one Zoom a month at this point, and that has basically become like my favorite thing that I get to do. The conversations that we have in there, it never fails. I mean, we're on the third one, but like it never fails that it's always such a representation of where I am in my life and what I've learned and the tools I've acquired and the conversations that come up and the things that people bring up and the stories that they tell. It like never ceases to amaze me how aligned our soul's paths are. Like how, when you put yourself out there and you start telling, like, here's what I learned, it's amazing how people show up and they're like, wow, yeah, I'm learning that too, or I learned that too, and it helped me so much. And like, then we can have these conversations about these tools. And it's just a very interesting way to navigate finding friends, as far as like I have gone about that by putting myself out there in my own authenticity and allowing whoever is attracted to that to show up, and then having open conversations with those people, which is essentially what the Sacred Circle is. And it is so fun. It's so satisfying. It's like really lighting my soul on fire to have this outlet, this new outlet to talk and share and learn and grow and just like these new ways to move ahead on my spiritual path that I came forward to walk. So much of that path for me is wrapped up in conversation, both me listening and me talking, me listening to people's stories and telling them my stories, like that exchange of our life, essentially. Like these are the nuggets that I've picked up along my way. Here, let me show them to you, and then same vice versa. And it is like the most satisfying thing that I get to do, and I absolutely adore it. And so that, along with, I have a few new guests like in the works, like in the pipeline for my Heart to Heart series that is also very new. And so both of these are centered around my owning authenticity practice and my YouTube channel mostly. And so it's just really interesting to me how that side of me has basically had to like not necessarily go on pause, because I do still put energy into it, but I am currently in the last like couple weeks of finishing my grocery contract to build a training series for how to open, operate, and optimize a grocery store, because that's what I spent the last 5 years doing. So basically downloading my knowledge of that process into this 10-part training series. And this group here in Kansas had grant money to pay me to do that. So that's such a cool opportunity. And here I am in these last couple weeks. Basically what I have left to do at this point is I need to sit down and record two of the modules, two of the videos that I have left. These videos, they're anywhere from like an hour to an hour and a half. So I have probably about 3 to 3.5 hours of recording to get these video files so that they can be edited. So that's like 3.5 hours of work. That's all I have left. And I've been putting it off for, I don't know, a while, like quite a while actually, compared to it's only 3.5 hours. Like, why wouldn't you just do it? And I practice doing things when I feel like doing them, like basically that's my way of trusting in divine timing. Like if I felt like doing it and I had the physical energy and like I just went and did it, like then it's the right time. And if it's just not happening, it's just not unfolding, like I try not to force it. I try to let myself line up with the time that it's easy. And I've done the first 8 modules that way, so, maybe I shouldn't question it so much, but I do wonder, like, why don't I just get these done and be done with it, And then I can get back to owning authenticity, which is what I really want. It's like calling me, it's drawing me, it's magnetizing me, it's just like lighting my soul on fire. I want to get back to it. And all that stands in the way of me being back full time on owning authenticity is this 3.5 hours of work. And I've been putting it off, which is to say putting off like getting back full time onto owning authenticity. And then yesterday in the Sacred Circle conversation, we touched on how basically like fear can hold us back, and that the fear can be more complicated than just like fear that it won't work out. There's almost like another layer of fear that can be, I'm worried that it will work out. I'm like, and in me right now, I feel some of all of that. And this morning, it's more clear than ever that, like, it is truly like a fear of once I finish this project, this 10-part grocery training series that, it was a 12-month contract and was a very nice chunk of the money that I need to make this year. And so it's almost like when that's over, I mean, I'm a consultant, so I don't necessarily have a next project lined up. As a freelance consultant, it's more like I'm doing the project and then the next one will present itself when I'm done, theoretically. And this morning, I'm clear. I feel this fear more consciously than I think I ever have. It's like more risen to my surface than it ever has been around like when I record these 2 modules, that project is over and I'm back to basically not having an income at the moment because I'm not working on a current project kind of thing. And so like there is a little bit of resistance where I'm worried about like what's what's going to happen. Like I'm, finishing this project is kind of like you're flying on the trapeze and you let go of this project, it's finished, and now you're just free, you're just floating in space, and like is there going to be a next project there to catch me? I think so. I I I'm pretty sure that's how it works. Like this is legit where I'm at right now. So, there's that. And then there's this other side of like like what if owning authenticity really did like blow up? Like what if there really was like that like much traffic on my site and on my videos, and like I think there's a very real part of me that likes the quietness of my life, and that there's like almost this like putting that off, also like putting off having a ton of traffic through my channel and my one-on-one sessions and my group sessions and my like, I mean right now like I enjoy the pace of my life, and there's almost like a will this taking off and like will this becoming successful, like will it ruin it? Like right now it's so fun, it's so like driven by my own inspiration. It's like whatever I feel like making, I make it, and I don't worry about if people are going to watch it yet or watch it or not, because when I very first started my YouTube channel, like it would be like some videos got 2 or 3 views and some videos didn't. They just didn't get any views. And that was where I started. And it was honestly really great because it let me root deeper into why am I doing this in the first place? It's clearly not for people to watch it because they're not. So the answer must be because I enjoy doing it. And as my channel has grown, which has been like steadily, the last 5 months or so, where I went from like basically 75 subscribers on my YouTube channel to like 1,800 now. And that's like not huge numbers in YouTube land, like 44 million or some shit, but for me, that's way different. It feels different to put a video out now, knowing that, there's a most of my videos at this point are getting like 150 or 200 views. And again, no, that's not millions of people, but it's like when I release a video, I know that I am going to share space at least for a couple seconds with a couple hundred people. And I take that very seriously as far as like it really is tempting to get in my head and start being hypercritical of what I put out and judging it like, is this is this worthy? Is this good enough? Is this like, it's like a whole different way of looking at it other than just like I'm making this because it's fun and this is what my inspiration is saying, and like that's simple. And like when you start factoring in like there are like hundreds or thousands or millions of eyes on what I'm putting out there, I see like some of my bigger creators talking like in the moments where they do talk about their creative process, like how easy it is for when you're getting thousands of comments on your videos that are saying like, we love this, we love this, we love this, like, and then you on the inside are feeling like, I don't want to do this part anymore. Like, do you give it up or do you keep doing it because that's what the fans want to see or whatever? And it's like it starts to pollute the purity of the creative process when there's that many voices in the mix. And I think the rate at which my YouTube channel is growing is reflective of like how able I am to like not be influenced, to not internalize the feedback that I'm getting, the rate of feedback that I'm getting, and to keep my creative process pure and authentic and genuine for the purpose that it originally was meant to serve, which was I need to move this energy that is naturally born inside of me moment to moment to moment to moment. There's new energy constantly coming to life inside of me. And if I don't move it, if I don't make a video or a podcast episode or even just open my mouth in a quiet room and start talking to the plants, like I have to get the energy out. Otherwise, I will explode. I will. I promise. Like that's just how it works. And so it's like I have to take care of myself by moving that energy. Otherwise, my entire system becomes chaotic and eventually goes into overload and shutdown. So I have to move the energy that's coming through me. So it it's so fascinating when you start putting yourself out there and like, people show up and they have opinions and they want to tell them to you. And usually, like 99% of my comments that I get on my channel are so positive, and they are like what I would consider like a perfect mirror reflection of the love that I feel that I want to be sending out into the universe. Like there is so much of that coming back and being reflected back at me, and that just is its own kind of heady that you try not to get sucked into. And then on the other side, there's the 1% that is basically a reflection of my shadow, essentially, where every once in a while somebody comes along with like the exact right insult. It's like, how the fuck did they know to say it like that? To make it like so personally upsetting to me that like that's exactly what I didn't want to hear. You know, that's the exact thing I was worried somebody was going to say. And then somebody comes along and says it. And it's like any insecurity that we have, any imbalance that we have, any self-doubt or questioning of like ourselves and the intentions behind what we're creating, what we're putting out there. It's like any of that we have inside of us, it has to get mirrored back to us too. And I love how my comments are showing me like, it's very affirming that yes, it's true what I feel, that like I am 99% love. I am sending so much love out into the world. Like even when I'm not making a video or an episode, even when I'm just sitting in a quiet room talking to the plants, like I am sending love out on the regular. Like I can be sure of that. And I can also be sure that my shadow work is not complete. because every once in a while somebody shows up with a bit of feedback that rocks my world. And all it is my own shadow being shown to me. Because if I didn't already think that about myself and feel bad that that was true, it wouldn't upset me that they thought it was true. That basically them saying it is just reminding me that I was already thinking that about myself. And like maybe it's so normal that I think that about myself that I've kind of just stopped even noticing that I'm hurting myself with that thought until this person shows up and they like basically tap dance right on top of the wound that like I've grown accustomed to that pain. Like I can live with that pain of my wound that I'm inflicting on myself. But when somebody tap dances on it, fuck, it hurts. God damn it, it hurts. Get off there. And then you're mad at them. Why are you tap dancing on my wound? How dare you? And that just, like it's still our wound. It's still my wound that like is aggravated when somebody shows up and like is like insulting me because I'm so excited and happy. And that like really upset me. And like I really was like, oh God, like feeling bad about myself. But then I realized like I kind of do that to myself all the time. And then I found an aspect in my natal chart that basically sums it up, where I have this like difficult aspect between my Mercury and Venus in Gemini, which is very fun and laughy and joking and disjointed and just kind of all over the place and like having fun in the moment. And it's having this difficult aspect with my midheaven in Capricorn, where I very much want to appear to have my shit together all the fucking time. Like, I need you to think that I have my shit together. That Capricorn midheaven does not like to be seen as wrong or imperfect or like inconsistent or irresponsible or any of those things. Like, I would never want to be perceived that way. That's another real part of my personality. And so, yeah, I already judge myself for being giggly and laughy and joking around in serious situations and laughing at funerals. Like, I mean, this is already something that I get onto myself about that side of myself. I like, give myself some punishments, some whippings over making those kinds of mistakes. How dare you laugh at this inappropriate moment kind of thing. And I already do that to myself. And so when this person shows up and that's the insult they use, it was fascinating how upsetting it was to me. But then in sitting with that upset, it's like, yeah, because I already know that about myself. I know that I don't like that side of me. And them commenting, I mean, it ended up okay because it really does help me to integrate those judgments that I have and am carrying about myself and that have become so normal, even though they inflict pain on me, that pain is normal. And so I don't even realize that my shadow is actually like talking to me a good big chunk of the time until somebody shows up and like has the insult right there ready to go with like exactly what I was hoping someone wouldn't say. And it happened again on another video where like it was a very sensitive topic, I felt, and I felt very like emotionally exposed, putting it out there and putting my views on this subject out there. I felt like it was a minefield and there were so many ways to get it wrong, and I was so worried that I would get it wrong and upset someone and be accused of being disrespectful or like ignorant or any of these things. Like I was terrified pushing the publish button, and never fails, like within a couple hours of putting that out there, here's somebody like basically like the 1-2 punch. Like, this video started off so awesome and I loved it so much, and then you got to this part and it all fell apart. How dare you, blah 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 blah. And it was like exactly what I was worried somebody would say. And in that moment, it was really interesting because in that moment I realized that like, yes, this is the exact thing I was worried someone would say. And yet as I'm sitting here receiving this comment, I mean, I fundamentally don't agree with what they're saying. And everything that I've practiced around, you get to have your truth and I get to have mine. Like, I don't have to change my mind, and neither do you. I don't need you to change I don't need you to change your mind. And, whether you need me to change mine or not, I'm not going to unless I feel like it's the right idea. So, like, even though this person was saying like all of the worst criticisms I could have imagined, in the actual reality of the situation, it wasn't anything like what I thought it was going to be. It was actually really helpful to get to see, like, oh, wow, yeah, okay, now that I have this presented to me, I'm very clear about how I feel about it, and I'm even more sure about what I know to be true inside of myself. And in that light, thank you. Thank you for that. So even when people show up and they have feedback that, tap dances on my wounds and reflects my shadow to me, which again is only 1% of the time, it's like that's honestly usually exactly what I need at that moment. It's like that's the next chapter of my healing journey. That's my next integration in my shadow work realm. Like getting feedback like that, it's you can react to it in any number of ways, and it does take me some time. I don't mean to paint a picture like all of this happens instantaneously. Like, depending on where I'm at and how solid I am, like, sometimes I did have one experience where somebody left me a comment, and my instantaneous, like, reaction to their comment was compassion. It was like I could feel the pain that they were in, and the hate that they had towards me was mostly just their own pain trying to be redirected because it felt better to point it at somebody else than normally how they had it pointed at themselves. That, like, dumping it on me was a moment of relief for them. And I wasn't mad about it at all. I felt, oh, I've been there. I've been there where, like, you're so full of that toxic, nasty feeling energy that it feels good to dump it onto other people, because at least then it's not inside of you. It's like that's true survival mode. And yeah, I've been there. And so I have had that experience where it was instantaneous. It was a moment of compassion for realizing that people who feel good on the inside, they don't throw hate at other people, right? The people that say mean things on the internet, they are sad. They're sad and they're mad and they're powerless and they don't know how to get their power back. And that's why they say mean things on the internet. They're trying to get their power back. And so, yeah, like when we put ourselves out there, when we take our creative heart and we put it on display, that's terrifying. And I think there is like a very real part of me that still is working through, do I really want to be seen? And like I have 175 videos on YouTube. I have 80 some episodes on this podcast. I have 30 some episodes on another podcast. Like, and I'm telling you, I'm still trying to figure out if I want to be seen or not. And I think that's why, like, my channel has grown a lot substantially, like, thousands of percent, even when you look at it in terms of that. But at the same time, like, I think there's still an energetic restriction around, I'm still not quite sure if I want to be seen on that level, because again, like, the more people who witness, the more feedback you get, the more there is to consider and to try to integrate into your wholeness and to keep your balance inside of all of that. Like, I'm trying to be the center of, like, the eye of the hurricane kind of thing, with like all this traffic and action and everything that happens around me. But my values and my priorities are to maintain my balance and my centeredness, my groundedness, my presence inside each moment, my ability to be inside of a moment and take it in fully. I don't want to lose that. I don't want to lose that because I'm trying to tap dance like the fans want me to tap dance. And at that point, I'm like, on a deep level, I think I'm afraid of having fans. I think I'm afraid of having people watch my shit. Like, I think that's real. And I don't think I've ever articulated that before or even known about it, because I want to be seen. That is dominant within me. There is also a very real part of myself, though, that is like, do we though? Do we really want to be seen? Do you really want that much feedback? Like, why not just make your videos and leave them all unlisted? Like, there's this part of me that feels this way, and I think it's fear. It's fear of how bad it hurts when somebody tap dances on my wounds. It's painful. And I don't like it necessarily. It's not like I want to seek that out. And so there is this part of me that's like hesitant to move forward down that path of like being done with this grocery project and fully committing myself to owning authenticity. And like, it's really interesting how you would think worst case scenario is that it won't work out. But the one that I think I'm even more worried about is if it does, is if it does work out. And like, how bizarre, because it's exactly what I want. That's what I want. I want to make my living doing what I'm doing on owning authenticity, the full range of services that that includes, like all the different things that that entails. And yet there is definitely like an apprehension of who I will become in that situation. Like I am very fascinated by lots of things, obviously, but I watch lots of documentaries about like cult leaders, and I don't want to call myself a cult leader, but like when you watch the life cycle of those people who end up like at the end of their journey as these cult leaders, and that's why we know them, um, they start off like pure, basically, like with a message that they're passionate about and that they love. And through attracting all of this other energy to them, it pulls them out of their balance. And I mean, basically, like, I mean, I think this is like what a quote off Batman the Dark Knight or something, where it's like, I think the Two-Face guy, he's like, you either die a hero or you see yourself live long enough to become the villain. And I think I'm like legit worried that that's gonna happen to me, where it's like I don't want to be the villain. I don't want to turn into a power hungry sellout for the money. Like, I don't want that. And what I see down that path of like best case scenario is it does work out and your channel blows up and it's enough money to sustain you and it's your full-time thing and that's what you're doing, and great. And like in that situation, I think it would be so hard to like not get attached to like wanting to control that it would continue, you know? Like right now it doesn't support me, so I'm really not attached to it. I don't have like a dependence on it. You know, it's not like that, but if it were to blow up and now it's my full-time income, like yeah, I see multiple scenarios down that path where I literally have like apprehension inside of me. And you know, I don't necessarily have the answer other than to say I think when we have fear and it slows us down, that there is a divinity to that timing as well. That, like, wherever I'm meant to end up, I always do. And so if I'm slowing down on my path, that there's a reason that I must not be needed at my next location right now. Like, it's not time for that yet. Like, there's still other things that are coming together, other pieces that are still baking in the oven. It's not time to pull it all together and have the meal. Like, this is where I am. This is the piece that, you know, like I think of National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, one of my all-time favorite movies. Chevy Chase hands his kid Russ he's like, oh, little knot there, you work on that, and it's like a freaking beach ball size knot. Sometimes it feels like that. You're like, how am I ever gonna unravel all of this? But you know, they do. It just takes time. It takes time and patience and compassion with yourself, and like compassion with the reality that like things that feel like big knots where you don't really know how to move through it all in one go. It's like, I think I'm going to need to sit with this for a minute and see what I can do with it. Um, you know, compassion with the reality that this is the earth realm, and anything that is going to be like ultimately satisfying to your soul will take time. It'll take time for that to unfold. And right now, what's unfolding for me is this moment of coming face to face with these fears that I'm holding on to. And I say it all the time to everyone else. And sometimes I have to remind myself that, like, you know, 95% of change is simply awareness. So, like, once you're aware, you're 95% of the way to change. And here I am coming face to face with these fears that I've never so openly acknowledged before in my life. And I gotta say, it feels really intentional and divinely timed as far as like I'm recording this on April 27th, 2022. And here in just a couple days, we have Pluto retrograde beginning on the 29th. And the next day on the 30th is the new moon solar eclipse happening in Taurus. Taurus is my first house. It's happening like almost conjunct my ascendant. My Jupiter is also in Taurus, so like not conjunct that, but in the same sign. So like plus the North Node is also transiting Taurus right now. So like there's just a lot going on in Taurus, which is my first house, which is like the most personal house of the entire chart, like deep inner transformation that at the surface level right now, I don't understand at all what is happening, what's being transmuted. I do know that I'm moving through new territory because, like I said, I've never been face to face with these fears before, so I know I must be in new territory, so that's cool. And I know that when I come face to face with fear, it's usually just a process of like looking at it tends to unravel it naturally. Like shining a light on it, suddenly it's not scary. It's like when you see a shadow out of the corner of your eye and you're instantly filled with terror because, like, oh my God, what is that thing? And then you shine a light on it and it's your kitty arching its back and meow. And oh, it's so cute. Shine a light on it. Like, it's not actually scary. It's like the fear of the fear that keeps us paralyzed and not moving forward. And like, here I am kind of coming full circle with where I started of like, I don't really know why I'm putting off these two last modules. I don't know why I'm putting off 3 hours worth of work to be completely done with a year's worth of effort. Like, what is going on? And here I am, like unraveling this piece that I wasn't meant to finish those two modules. I was meant to delay them to the point of asking questions like, why? Why am I doing this? And it leads me down this rabbit hole of exploring this fear that actually has nothing to do with my grocery training modules at all. It has everything to do with redevoting myself full time to owning authenticity. And, you know, what if it works out? Like that's hilarious to me that that's what was in there because I didn't know that. So now I do. And thank you so much for listening and your energy in this space as I like literally witness myself becoming a more whole version of who I was born to be. Yeah, this was extremely productive and therapeutic and cathartic. And for any of you out there who talk like just as your natural state, like if you're just naturally a chatty person, like I like to say, like I think out loud, like I literally can say things out loud that I did not know yet. And when I hear it out loud is me learning it for the first time. So talking out loud can be extremely productive, even if you're just in your car, not talking to anybody, just talk out loud. Tell your story or record it and listen back to it again, like even with just a voice recorder on your phone, like record it and listen back to it and see if you don't learn something new about yourself that you didn't know before by listening to your own story. Like it's incredibly powerful. And obviously, like I would say I did that for what, like 5 years, almost for a little under 5 years. I did that where I just talked out loud to myself. And when I felt good and when I felt excited about whatever I was thinking about, it would just kind of start, it would just kind of pop out of me talking. Um, and eventually I got to the point where I'm like, this stuff's pretty good. Like I could be recording this and like put it out there somewhere where other people can hear it too. Like maybe there's value in these episodes for other people. And I mean, that ship has sailed long, long ago of me being 100% certain that whatever I'm inspired to share on these episodes is exactly what it's meant to be. And then the timing of the people who come to these episodes and hear these messages, like right now, I'm releasing old episodes one a week on my YouTube channel. And sometimes it's an episode that I recorded like a year ago. And so it's like that was the energy that I had at that moment. And that was the energy that I was inspired to share at that moment. That was what, kind of going back to the beginning, like I do these outlets. I use these outlets. I flow this energy because it's inside me, because that's how I take good care of myself, is I get that energy out. I let the racehorse run, so to speak, and exhaust that energy when it wants to be exhausted. And in doing that, it is such a learning experience. It's a joy to figure out that whatever I'm inspired to share in whatever time is actually perfect. And even if somebody hears it a year from now, it could be the exact message that they needed to hear exactly when they needed to hear it. So even when we're afraid, even when we're not all the way there yet, like I still have this fear. I still am not even sure if I want anybody listening to this. Like there's clearly, like, maybe I'm 99% sure that I do, but there's clearly something still in there that is working itself out. And so even when we're still a work in progress, which I would argue we always are, there's value in sharing. There's value in telling your story. And if it can help somebody else move forward even 1 inch, I would argue that you did good work there. You offered something of value to society, to this world. It's better now because of what you offered than it was before. You left the world a better place than you found it, just by telling your story. And you don't have to be at the final destination. Again, I would argue we never get there. Tell your story along the way. That's the best we can ever do. Thank you so much for listening. I think I'm going to go record one of those grocery modules now. Thanks for helping me get primed for that. And until next time, you take such good care of yourselves. Let the racehorse run, whatever that means for you. And so will I.